Okay, good morning, folks, and welcome to another morning edition of the Cold Hard Truth. I am your host, Sandy Hill. We've been doing these morning segments now. This is our second week. I don't know that this will be a permanent thing. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback that people really enjoy the morning segments. They're not practical when our lives are back to normal necessarily for me, but I will certainly look into the possibility of seeing how we can continue these if you guys really enjoy them. So give me your feedback. Let me know. I think in emergency times like this, the morning segment works very well because we can kind of do a recap of what transpired the day before. And to be quite frank and honest, people have a lot of questions and there are a lot of things that people simply do not understand. So I certainly do not mind being that voice of reason first thing in the morning, giving people a little bit of a reassurance kind of on where we're at and, what's happening and what's going on. So good morning to all of you. Let's go ahead and start off with our morning greetings. Orville, good morning to you. Paul is tuned in. Good morning, Paul. Morna is tuned in as well. Morning says good morning. Morna, sorry. Says good morning, Sandy. Blessings as always, and have an awesome day ahead. Anthony Pandui is watching. Thank you, Anthony. Grace Ann says good morning to everyone as well. And of course on Instagram, let's not forget our Instagram folks. We've got Princess Frankie, Dubai, Fix Things. Well, that name is so appropriate right now. Fix Things. Trust me. It's like Jesus fix it, like kind of attitude right now. Corona in my, oh my gosh, I don't know if we can read the rest of that name. Says, what's this song? I want to go jam to it. It's a song called The Cold Hard Truth, which is the name of, or Miller 2193 wants to know what the song is as well. So that's the name of our show. It's called The Cold Hard Truth. And, that's what we try to do. We try to give it to you just direct and honest. And not everyone can take the direct and honest approach. And we get that. Interestingly enough, speaking of direct and honest, I had someone say to our Facebook page that they don't think that naming and shaming is effective, and they love CMR, but basically that's not what we should be doing. I'll read you guys the exact comment here in the phone because I think it's interesting, and I do want to talk about that. But what I think is so incredibly fascinating is when people say, so this is what Lindsay Ann said in Facebook yesterday. And this was in relation to the couple who had arrived on island, apparently in a private jet. They were sure to tell us afterwards, oh, we arrived in a private jet and we left the same way. As though coming in on a private jet makes you immune from the coronavirus. The ignorance and just arrogance of people sometimes really does shock and surprise me. But before I go off, because I'm going to warn you guys this morning, I really didn't take my medication, so I will not be responsible for anything that I say this morning, because I am super pissed off at what I think is coming at 10 o'clock for all of us because of just a few irresponsible people. Not a few, actually, we have a lot of irresponsible people in this country who don't seem to care about anyone but having a good time and themselves. And they're not understanding the serious implications of what's going on in this country. But before I delve in deep, let me not forget my manners. Lily, good morning. Trisha, good morning, good morning, good morning. Renisha, Tasha said morning briefings are great, but when things return to normal, we will be in our cars sitting in traffic at this time. I know, but you know what, Tosh? There are people who do watch live streaming even when they're traveling. Like I have a little stand on my dashboard, so that when I get bored in traffic, which thankfully I don't normally, I try to avoid traffic so I leave later in the morning, but when I do have to sit in traffic, I can put on something that I can listen to more so than watch, because a show like this, you don't necessarily have to be looking at me. Somebody said I'm looking kind of cute this morning, but you don't really have to look at me. You can just listen. pull it up on the stream and listen at the same time. So I do think that there's maybe some scope for it. We'll see. Florence, good morning, Sandy. And Alice says, good morning, Sandy, as well. Karma Owen says, top of the morning to you and your family. Let's see who else is an IG. Shan says, meds don't take, so watch out. Damn it. Damn it's AB, I think. Says, Sandra, take your meds. Trust me, I am so pissed off today. Monica says, I love Cayman people. And so do we. And that's why I'm really gonna just, we gotta just tell you guys the truth. Like, it doesn't make any sense to sugarcoat the seriousness of what we are dealing with today. Yeah, Tosh, you can listen the same way to the stream. You just pull it up, and it's not like you have to fixate, because I don't want you to have an accident and be blaming CMR for your car accident, but just pull up the live stream and still focus on traffic. I mean, you're only going 5 miles an hour anyway, right? So it's not like you're going to be getting anywhere far. Antoinette, good morning to you. Who's logged in from overseas? We know a lot of people like to watch the program from overseas. So Andrea, Miles, Deborah, pleasant morning from the land of the living. Amen to that. So let us delve into this a little bit. So we had, again, what's her name? Lindsay Ann says, I appreciate CMR. And this was on the post with, the couple that came in from the US. Apparently, the young lady used to work here as a security guard at the airport, and looks like she has stepped up a little bit in life, so good for her. She's married a man who claims that he can afford to put her on a private jet. I'm so happy for you, except in my world, that simply doesn't matter. I don't care if you fly in on a private jet or you fly in on Big Bird. That's none of my concern and none of my business. The point is, when you flew into this country, and especially as someone who has connections to the Cayman Islands, I find it extremely hard to believe that you did not understand and know the seriousness of what was happening in this country in terms of our COVID-19 death at that point, as well as already an infection. So Alofima is tuned in all the way from London. Thank you so much for that. I love it when our international folks join us. And Howard is tuned in from Tampa, Florida. My old stomping grounds. Howard, I love me some Tampa. I grew up in Tampa, so trust me. From the age of 9 until I returned and went to law school. So I'm a USF graduate. So I went to USF. That's my alma mater. For my first bachelor's degree. So can I just tell you, so much has changed since I've last, but I have a real soft spot in my heart for Tampa. Charlene, good morning to you as well. So, let me address Lindsay. So Lindsay says, I appreciate CMR. I believe these people should be reported, and then it should be handled as necessary by the relevant authorities for action. If CMR is able to do this, more props to you. People should not be endangering others. Letting people know this is happening is also very important. Thank you. However, mic drop. This is where it's like, however, all of that's fantastic, but I totally disagree with naming and shaming. It's dangerous, and I don't believe it adds value to this forum. So, Lindsay, I don't know how long you've been following us, but this was the response to Lindsay. It's not about adding value. It's about getting people to stop putting us all at risk with their nonchalant behavior. I'm sure you've heard of the concern. That's supposed to be term. Let me correct that, child. I swear this smartphone is like dumbing me down because it's always correcting shit when I don't even... I type something and it's like, nope, that's not what you meant to say. I'm going to correct it and make you sound super stupid. So it's supposed to say, I'm sure that you've heard of the term before, social accountability. Look it up and it works. So here's the thing, right? You guys know from long time, well, 2.5, almost 3 years ago now, CMR has taken a very different approach to how we do things. And yes, we do name and shame up to a certain point. And there are people who like it, there are people who don't like it, there are people who are like, is it effective? Doesn't really matter, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? The last thing you want to do now is end up on CMR for holding a starfish or parking in a blue spot or being in a traffic accident where you were the donkey that caused the traffic accident. So does it work? Yeah, because how many of us want to end up on Mall Road? I mean, let's be honest, right? Me, myself, sometimes I'm like, damn, I just want to park here real quick, run inside. And then I'm like, shit, you know what? My luck, somebody's going to take this photo and they're going to send it to CMR. And yes, an administrator is going to put it up because we don't care who does it, whether it's me, family, or somebody else. You're going to be held accountable and you're going to be put out there. So there have been times when I've thought about, parking badly or doing something, well, you say minor, but there's nothing minor when you park in somebody's handicapped spot. And then I think to myself, yeah, I probably don't want to do that, And sometimes we joke about it. Like I'll be out somewhere and somebody's like, yeah, I was about to take a picture of you if you had really parked like that because I was going to send it right to Mall Road. And I'm like, hey, I get you. So there is a level of what we call social accountability. We do it a little bit differently now because we have access to social media. So yes, we put it on social media and unfortunately it has the capability to go viral and to kind of put peer pressure on us. Back in the day before we had Instagram, before we had Facebook, people would pressure us through our little social networks. Again, they weren't online, but people would pressure us to do all kind of things. You got called names, or you're this, or you're that. If you need to boss up because, you're not a real person, a real guy, a woman, if you can't do this. It was like stupid stuff when you're in high school and whatever. But at some level, that has now transcended, and this is where we need to be careful when we have kids, when we have teenagers, because that pressure of the social media platforms is a real thing. And it doesn't stop just because we become adults. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hello. All of us know how it works. That's why kids are out there recording and putting up fights of each other. Because on the flip side of this, there are people who are using it for absolutely negative shit that just doesn't make any sense. So they want to get some clout. They want to get some followers. They want to get a little bit of attention. And they do those types of things. And, again, it's called social accountability, social pressure, peer pressure, whatever you want to call it. And it works to a large extent. Yes, we will report it to the police. And, there have been a lot of times when shaming people has led to changes, even in the business world and in business policies. So in our day-to-day private lives, shame is actually a very powerful means of what we call social policing. When you apologize to someone, that has an element of shaming yourself and admitting that you have done something wrong, right? And that you are sorry for it. We out people like Eve High Voltage, like a Matthew Leslie, because those people have a history, a long and extensive history of being con artists, narcissists, ripping people off. That's what they do from one person to the next. And not only do we shame them when we put their business out there, well, it's a truth, right? But in addition to that, by putting their business out there, we're also warning other people. Like, okay, if this dude rolls up on you about he owns the brewery, what's it called again? What's the local brewery called? Whatever. That he used to tell people he owned that he never owned. I can't remember what the name of it is now. But if this dude walks up on you and say, "Oh, I own the local brewery," had you known the facts before that? Had you been informed? Had Marl Road been around 5 years ago? Maybe there are a lot of people who could have been saved from giving this guy $100,000 and never seeing a dime of their money again. So there is a place for it in the context of what we do. So, there's other news media that they don't get into that at all. Good on them. We're not all the same, and everyone has choices. But the social dynamic in which we operate in on social media, if nobody else gets it but Cayman Mall Road, trust me when I tell you, we get it. We totally understand it. And that's why we have 12,000 followers on Instagram. Do 12,000 people love us every single day, 24/7? No. Do they have to? No. But they're still like, okay, whatever is going to happen in this country today, whatever is going to happen in this community, CMR is going to bring it to me. They might not give it to me the way I like it. It might not be in a silver platter. But at the end of the day, they are going to bring it. And it's going to have some level of realness. And I'm going to know what's going on in my community. So, it's kind of funny. Like, I find it amusing when people use CMR in like a social joking context, right? So there are people who have like done videos, songs, all this kind of stuff, memes, whatever you want to call it, where they include CMR. There's one I want to play for you guys this morning, but I should tell you, it's absolute adult content. So if you have kids who are watching this morning, I'm going to strongly suggest to you that you take them somewhere else, because this is not a kid-friendly one at all. When I heard this yesterday, the beginning of it, I'm actually just trying to save it real quick, but it's like playing in the background, sorry. But the beginning of it was really funny, and they mentioned CMR, and I thought that was cute and funny. But then how they ended it was a little bit problematic in terms of the language. So I'm forewarning you guys, if you're sensitive to profanity, this may not be the show for you this morning, because sometimes it kind of gets real in that sense of the word as well. So yeah, there is an element to social responsibility. There's an element to social shaming that now is part of our lives. I mean, listen, no business in Cayman wants me to put up a plate of their food on Cayman Mall Road to say there was a hair found in it, which, by the way, I got one of those yesterday from a local bakery. So disgusting. There was, a roach found in the food or anything of the sort. And we understand the power now with almost 40,000 followers between Facebook and Instagram that we can have even on local businesses. And with that does come a certain amount of responsibility. And one of the projects, now that we're on a little bit of a break because we're all at home, but trust me, life has not slowed down just because we're working from home. If anything, it's more hectic. It's just a little bit different. But one of the things that I want to talk about is one of our corporate sponsors, Burger King, and how someone attempted to out them, except they weren't actually outing them with the truth, which I don't really like. You know what I'm saying? When people come to us, you come to us with the truth. That's what we want to hear. We don't want to hear any donkey made up stories, trying to shame people, but it's not the truth. Like, you can shame people from now till infinity, but you have to do it with the truth. And so that's why we're called the cold, hard truth. It's not called the cold, hard lie. It's not called the cold, hard make-believe. We are the cold, hard truth. So when you come to us and you bring your stories and you complain about people, people are ripping you off, people owe you money, people whatever, make sure you tell the truth. It's so simple. It seems like such a simple thing. But at the same time, it seems like telling the truth for some people presents a real difficulty in life. And I'm just trying to save this. This thing is like hanging out my computer here. But anyway, hopefully it'll get back to normal here in a second. So yeah, so we want you guys to speak the whole hard truth. because the truth is extremely important in life. It is the one thing that trumps anything else, and so for us, that's critical. And that's why I say to people, listen, I'm not a perfect person. I have never claimed to be. And I get that we all screw up. I get that we make poor choices in life. I've done that. You try to grow and learn from your poor choices. But I also, understand and believe in second chances. Now, what I don't believe in is people who deliberately go out there every single day and live their entire lives as a big fat lie. And they're fronting like on all levels. That shit to me just isn't cool. And I don't like people like that, and I don't entertain people like that. And yes, when I get the opportunity and I see those people, in court, and they are in there for whether it's stealing a $500 TV or whether it's trying to rob Tortuga, we're going to report it. It's news, first of all. And second to that, there's also this element of these people live in this fantasy world. So they're hype, they're high gate, they are high voltage, whatever the heck it is. It's not high gate, it's high voltage, whatever. They're out there living this hype lifestyle, trying to fool people. Anybody with a little bit of sense really isn't being fooled. But, at the end of the day, they are living this lifestyle of, I can afford to go out every single weekend and party. I can afford to be in the entertainment business, bringing celebrities to the Cayman Islands, buying pound here, pound by the hair, whatever you call it, and living this totally hype lifestyle. But yet I can't afford to pay my bills, or I cannot afford to feed my children. And this is a serious conversation now, because when you can't afford to do those basic things, feeding your children. Oh, Charlene, you're taxing my brain this morning. K-Brew, Cayman Brewery. It's called K-Brew actually. Yeah. So when you can't afford to feed your children, and those poor children are either number one going to go hungry, or number two going to end up on NAU assistance, and you think that that's okay, like you can substitute your lifestyle with the money that you make and employment money or funds that you have coming in, but you cannot take care of your own children. I have an issue with that, because that impacts all of us. That's not just your life anymore. You're not just an adult doing what you want to do. You're an adult making poor decisions that impacts your children who are part of this Cayman community. As you said, despite you being a Jamaican or wherever else, these are Caymanian children because you had them for Caymanian man. So you feel like you can go to NAU, Needs Assessment Unit, every single week and be up in their front door telling them, oh, you have to support me because I have Caymanian children. That's when you're using your kids as a pawn to be able to live your lifestyle and have no level of accountability whatsoever. So does that bother me? Yes, it bothers me. Why is it my business? Because we live in a small community and we all end up paying the tab and paying the bill for services like NAU, whether we like it or not. And those children, more importantly, are also impacted negatively in a social way, knowing that, they have to rely on community assistance to be able to get a meal. There's a fundamental problem with people who look at situations like that and do not understand that there's something wrong with that. That's just not cool. So naming and shaming, in my personal opinion, has its part to play in this community. You don't have to like it, but I think at the end of the day, we should all be cognizant of the fact that it's part of who we are. And I was going to get back to Burger King because this is something that I am going to address in due course. But when people try to out corporate entities in particular, the only thing that I say to you is make sure you come with your story straight, first of all. And secondly, there's absolutely no reason to lie on a local business that provides jobs to both locals and expats. because you want to gain a couple likes or you want to gain some clout. Because unfortunately, in this platform, again, because we have such a significant reach, we comprehend that we have to do our due diligence and we have to do our research when people come to us. And as a result of that, I'm going to call the business. I'm going to say, hey, this is what's being alleged. Have you seen this video? What do you guys think about this? And fortunately for companies like Burger King, they actually have really awesome CCTV footage. And I'm going to try to get to that this week. So I think all of you guys should see what someone tried to do to Burger King that was totally uncool. And, the implications of that to a business can be significant. But yeah, if someone genuinely finds a piece of tissue in their chicken at the local store, are we going to put that up? Yep. Because somebody in that kitchen has no common sense whatsoever. And someone in that kitchen needs to be held accountable. So when you hear of companies like Amazon, for example, being put up in news stories and on social media about their horrible track record of like not paying overtime for workers, that is a form of naming and shaming, and by extension, a form of holding them socially accountable in the world in which we now live in. That's naming and shaming. We might just do it a little bit differently, but it's the exact same thing. And at the end of the day, it has the exact same effect, because now Amazon's like, oh, wow, we're looking bad with our business partners. We're looking bad with clients and consumers, us thinking that we don't know how to treat our employees. So all of a sudden, they can now see it fit to put in a policy of, we're going to start paying overtime. Well, bitches, you should have been paying overtime from day one. But thank you very much for finally doing the right thing, because of social peer pressure, social shaming, social accountability. So back to this post real quick, and we're going to move on because we got a lot of ground to cover. Lindsay, I hope you understand where we're coming from. I'll send you a couple articles to read up on the social implications of naming and shaming. Right now, we're in the middle of an epidemic, a pandemic. And if it requires us naming and shaming people to get people to do the right thing, trust me when I tell you, I have no qualms doing it and saving people's lives. So this couple claims that they came in a private jet. They left in a private jet. They were only by themselves. They were not with anybody else. And so, our attempts to name and shame them are ill-placed. And this guy, the husband, posted so many times, I kind of lost count. And he's like, does anybody know the person that runs this terribly managed page? And I've arrived back to my home in the States on a private flight, the same way I came in. And I'll be taking measures with the law ASAP. He reached out to us and actually implicated that he will be going to his lawyers. Ooh, we're so scared. He's going to be going to his lawyers, and he is going to have his lawyers write us a letter. And no. Even better than that. He's going to actually fly his lawyers down here. I don't know, but this dude seems like he has more money than he has common sense. He's going to fly his lawyers down here, and they're going to come and take care of you. I'm like, okay. Uh-huh. So I care because, there's a certain element to, sorry guys, give me one quick second here. I need to look at something here for someone who's messaging me. This is my real job. I do work. there is a certain there is a certain element to a certain freedom in not really caring a whole lot about what people think. You're able to speak a certain level of truth in your personal life when you're not as bothered or concerned about what other people are saying. That kind of clutters up your brain and your headspace. And to be quite frank, for a lot of us, and I think maybe this comes to a certain degree with age as well. As you get older, you care less about you don't give a damn about what people think. That's why old people, you ever notice like really old people, once they reach like 70, 80 years old, they don't care. Some people will tell you they're some of the most honest people in the world. And sometimes they will drop a bomb on you that you're like, did you just say that? And they're like, yeah. So what? Because I think they recognize that every single day they're getting that much closer to the end. And if they don't live their authentic lives, if they are not themselves, you know what I'm saying? They don't have a whole lot of time left. So they don't have time for the fronting and the playing of games and the sugar coating it and fixing it up. And maybe I've just reached that point in my life a little bit quicker. So I'm not 70 yet. I'm not 80 yet. But I'm kind of at that point where I don't really care. You know, because I realized a long time ago that if someone isn't paying my bills, if someone isn't feeding me, they're not paying CUC, they're not putting clothes on my back, do I really care? Do you get to have any influence on my life and what I'm doing and all of that? Like, should I really even be bothered by anything that you have to think and say? I don't think so. And so, you know, I think to a large extent, it is what it is. And we could probably live a much more genuine existence if we all got to that point. That's why when a lot of people say to me, oh my gosh, you should run for politics again, you'd be a great politician. Over the years, I've been there, done that. And I've actually realized that I'd probably make a horrible politician if for no other reason than I don't really care what the people think or say. Say what? Yeah. And you can't be a politician with that type of an attitude unless you're a little bit crazy, but you can't hope to get voted in with that type of an attitude because you have to pander to the people. You have to tell the people what you think they want to hear. And I don't have no time for that. My life is too busy, too complex, and I simply do not care for it. So, you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. That's like, she be like that. X says, where is the fast forward button? She be like that. I don't know where the fast forward button is, but what I can tell you is there is an unfollow button and there is a block button. And you should try exercising both of those if you wish, if you're being bored by the conversation. Shan, I don't think you got it, but she be like that is trying to say she's so bored. She wants to fast forward through all of this. Fast forward yourself all the way out the door. Fast forward yourself where you don't see CMR. And I love the fact that I can block people. I can restrict people because you get on my damn nerves. I'm going to say, bitch, goodbye. Take several seats because I honestly don't care. And, you know, like I said, what are you going to do? Sue me because I tell you must keep it moving? Sue me because I tell you your opinion doesn't matter. Especially when you're just here for the negativity. It's like, keep it moving. We don't care. Yes, I'm rude. And so what? People like you need a reality check. So your comment wasn't rude. But when I say to you, keep it moving. We don't care. If you don't like it, go watch something else. Go watch CNN. Go watch Fox News. go watch cartoons. Peppa Pig is on right now. You can watch Peppa Pig 24/7. You have a choice. You know, and it is what it is. Sorry, I just need to tell this customer that I'm actually live streaming at the moment. And so I will assist them afterwards. So yes, I mean, that's the reality of it. You know, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you the cold hard truth. So it is what it is. Sorry if you don't like it. Next. Back to the real world here now. Listen, we are in a serious situation. For those of you who missed what happened yesterday, and I'm sorry, I actually forgot to live stream it on Instagram. My apologies for that, but I'm going to recap it. First of all, the first thing I want to say, and I think the importance of the live streams that I do is I get that a lot of times people watch these press conferences, they watch these briefings, and they still say to me, can you break it down for me? Like, I had people calling me last night, minutes to 10, going, I'm confused. How many cases of the coronavirus do we actually have in the Cayman Islands? So people don't always understand what's transpiring in the press briefings. Some people don't even get to, oh, snaps, hold on. Andre Jamaican has just indicated that he wishes to be blocked on Instagram. Just a second, folks. Let's do him the honors this morning. Andre_Jamaican. Oh, he thinks he's cute. My God, what a hot mess. Let's go ahead and block this user. Thank you, Andre. Have a wonderful day. Next, anybody else up on Instagram that feels like they want to get on my nerves this morning? Because I'm just not in the mood for it. Yeah, Andre, he's not next. He is gone. All right, folks, keep it moving. So the people who watch the press briefings don't always understand it. A lot of times people say to me, can you break this down for me in a real way? Because listen, I just listened to them talk for an hour and a half. And I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I heard the word curfew. I heard the word, yes, we have more confirmed cases. You know, I heard bits and pieces, but I'm just not understanding what's going on. So I know a thing or two about people, and I understand psychology way more than people know. And I have done in my day a little bit of research. And believe it or not, what a lot of people do not know is I'm secretly a nerd. I'm going to own it. I love listening to things like National Public Radio, NPR. I will sit down and listen to podcasts for an hour or two. That is just an educational discussion on narcissists running amok. Okay? I have listened to more podcasts on the COVID-19 than I care to share. So last week, for example, when Dr. Lee was saying that you cannot basically transmit this if you're asymptomatic, I was thinking to myself, where is this guy getting his information from? He's a doctor. He's a physician. He's an expert. He's the chief medical officer in this country. And basically, he gave us misinformation because he now claims, as of this weekend, he was relying on the CDC and, oh, they still had up old information on their website. Listen to me, people. We do not have all of the answers when it comes to this COVID-19. We don't know everything. So we are in the process of learning about transmission in particular, and that's going to lead us to understand what types of vaccinations could potentially protect us against the coronavirus, this particular strain of the coronavirus. So it is imperative for all of us to stay educated up to a certain point. But I get it. You're 20 years old. You're like, Sandy, I ain't got time for this. I don't have time to sit down and listen to NPR like you do. Not only may you not have the time, you may not have the interests. You may not have the intellectual capacity to even understand an NPR podcast, because sometimes they get a little bit highfalutin. You really need a college degree to understand what it is that they're saying. And I get that. And I totally understand that. So it's my job, and yes, I've taken it upon myself, to try to educate people and to try to keep people informed. And what I want to say to you straight up this morning, mark my word, the government is going to have a press conference at 10 o'clock. And the shit is about to get serious. If we do not go into a military-style lockdown where the governor takes control of this country, essentially, I would be shocked and surprised. It's 6:57 in the morning on March the 24th, 2020. Mark it down in your books and wait for 10 o'clock. It's coming. And do you know why it's coming? Because we have idiots, and this is all I can call them, like this J.D. Perkins dude, who is out there having such a good time on vacation, going to Lover's Wall, hanging out on the beach, flying in his private jet, and then having the audacity to talk bullshit to me and other people on our social media platform about, oh, well, we weren't really hanging around with anyone. Let me pull up something here, because I hate liars. Nothing bothers me more than a liar, honestly. And you know, my aunt, God bless her soul, I grew up with an old lady. So you know, I got a lot of old wisdom as a young child, a lot of sayings that at the time I was like, why are you telling me this? That makes total sense now that I'm a little bit older and I'm a little bit wiser. Your lies will find you out, folks. You cannot lie, especially in the 21st century when we have access to everything. You send somebody a screenshot. That's why Cheaters is such a big show, because it's like you'll be found out. There are people who can watch your steps. There are people who can know your every single movement. You're WhatsApping someone, they screenshot that shit. You're private messaging someone on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. They screen grab it. And next thing you know, you are in a world of trouble because you think that in the 21st century, you can still lie and get away with it. Not anymore. And so whilst this guy is out there happy to lie to people about the fact that, they weren't around in a, first of all, if you got a lick of sense, you know that these people are lying. How you would come to the Cayman Islands after living abroad for a minute, finding yourself some little muscle-up dude to get married to. You come back here, you have cousins here, you have family here, you have some friends here. You know, you worked here in security for a number of years or whatever. And you're not going to see anybody. Pick sense from nonsense is what my aunt would have said. We need to have a segment on this show called, my aunt's name is Lottie, an old lady's name, right? We need to have a segment on this show, like what Lottie would say. Because right now, Lottie would say that is a bold-faced lie. These people ain't sense, and they think we are a fool. Because when someone lies to you, they insult your intelligence first and foremost. Because like I said, it's kind of common sense that if you're going to come here, You posted it all over social media that you're here. You look like some social media queen. And no one's going to see you. You're not going to visit anyone. I find that highly unlikely. The probability of that is like winning the lottery twice in a row. So we're going to actually prove to you this morning that these persons are bold-faced liars. And the only reason why it's important to prove to you that sort of thing is because we are living in perilous times. Listen to me, folks. If you listen to the premier yesterday, and I don't mean listen to his words alone, I mean listen to the sentiments and the urgency of the message. I felt for the premier yesterday because he understands the predicament that this small nation is in right now. To hell with finances. We are talking about people's lives. The lives of people in this community. Because we are so small. You don't think if we had 25 or 50 people die from the coronavirus that we are all going to feel that? There are people in the UK, and I'm going to post this up a little bit later on, who are sitting down saying in tears that this situation is going to impact every person's life to the point where all of us will eventually know someone who has died from the coronavirus. All jokes aside, folks, this is as serious as a heart attack. You understand what I'm saying? We will all know someone who has died from the coronavirus. This is worse than the AIDS epidemic in some ways. You will have no control in a minute once we have local transmission, which is exactly what's coming, of where this goes. Why? Because people are selfish AF. Because people want to go out to Rum Point this weekend and hang out with their friends and drink and get drunk and have a good time. Because somebody thought it made good logical sense to have a party at Smith Cove. Because parents, because you got a couple dimes to rub together, and you think that by having a couple pennies, I don't care if you got $1 million or $1, if this touches you in a real way, and people lose their lives because of this, your money can't help you. Your money will not save your life. And so this is the seriousness right now of what we are dealing with in this country and the world over. So your kids don't have to go to Comfort Suites or whatever hotel. Oh yeah, no, we can handle it. We can be on lockdown. We got a big house, blah, blah, blah. So the first thing you do when your kids come off the plane is take them out to dinner. It's clear that that money doesn't buy you any common sense. Because these people don't have one lick of it. It's like, really? That makes sense to you? To take your child out there and allow them to be around other people and to contaminate environments and other people? It's no wonder that the premier is going to have to lock this country down completely. With idiotic decision making by people in this community of that caliber, what do you think realistically the consequence is going to be? To me, it's shocking, and I can't help but wonder if people just are not getting it. They're just not understanding it. And why? Because sometimes we fail to get what doesn't impact us yet. So when we talk about social issues in this country, when I get on my soapbox and I talk about child abuse, domestic abuse, and people who live in homes and households where they get their asses beat on a regular basis, and I talk about the implications of all of those things, the social ills, a lot of you don't give AF because you've never been in that situation. You don't understand what's going on. And at some level, not being in the situation, not understanding it, allows you to be so far removed from it that you just don't care. And that's a sad indictment on all of us. And I suppose we've all suffered from this level of, just total ignorance, nonchalant attitude, whatever you want to call it. Because again, we have not been in that situation. So, well, that's not me. That's not my household. I don't care. But you should care. And in the case of something like this, that can transmit from one person to the next, now they're talking about the fact that this is airborne. People, I want you to wake the hell up this morning. Not physically wake up, well, you have to be to watch this. But I mean, inside your heads, there has to be a light bulb that is going to go off. I can't sit here and sugarcoat this morning because this isn't funny. You guys know the Premier and I have had our differences. But what I want to say to you now, if you have never in your life listened to Alden McLaughlin before, I need you to listen to what he said yesterday. The panic in his voice, the desperation in his voice was real. And it's real because the man knows more than the rest of us are aware. Not the rest of us, than most of us are aware. He understands that we have more than the 5 cases in this country. At this stage, it's impossible for us to not have more than 5 cases. He also understands that what that means in real terms is that we are going to have, if we don't have already, local transmission. What do we mean when we talk about local transmission? So in other words, no one bringing this in anymore to the island. This isn't the 68-year-old Italian guy on a cruise ship that contaminated 4 other people at Health City. Local transmission means that it is here in the Cayman Islands, amongst the local community. Local community just means if you live here. And it is now spreading from one person to the next. They can't trace it back to port of entry. That's what we're talking about. That is why I am pissed off at people like this J.D. Perkins guy. Dude, I don't care who you are. I don't know who you are. My apologies, Facebook people. I've pulled up the wrong. This is the wrong. This is not the one that I want to show you guys. I'm going to pull up another one and show you here in a minute. So when I say to you that I don't really care, I'm not here to sugarcoat this. This is an extremely serious matter. It's because of the fact that, in my opinion, what's going to happen today is at 10 o'clock, we're probably going to get confirmation that we are, number one, going to be adjusting the curfew to 7 o'clock in the evenings. This is my opinion. Don't go out there saying Sandra said this is a fact. This is my opinion. Lockdown from 7 p.m. until 5 p.m., maybe even 7 a.m. in the mornings. military lockdown. The governor is going to say, I am now exercising by law the fact that this country is under complete lockdown. You're not going to be able to go to Round Point for a long time. Those of you selfish people that decided to go out to Round Point this weekend, decided to take your kids out to a restaurant, decided to hang out at Smith Cove, who have been ignoring every single recommendation made by the premier, by the chief medical officer, can I just tell you that there is something wrong with you? And now you have jeopardized all of us, our freedom of movement, our ability to be able to, heaven forbid, you want to get up at 6 o'clock and go to the grocery store. The grocery store will not be able to open probably until certain times now because of you people. So I'm not sugarcoating this morning. That's what, when I say to you, I haven't taken my medication, it means don't come here looking for me to tell you something in a nice way, because I don't have time for that today. The time for being nice and delivering this message in a nice way has already passed. Because of people like that who have screwed us. People who traveled abroad and decided to return back to the Cayman Islands even before, yes, the flights just ended. But have you not known for the past month that if you traveled abroad, that you were at high risk of importing and bringing this thing back into the Cayman Islands? And that you needed to self-quarantine? Did it really take the government getting up and saying that to you? It's like, where's the common sense here? So you didn't know any of that? Seriously? This is what bothers me. So it's going to get real. And what I can tell you is those of you who are concerned about, oh my God, I don't have a job, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills, that's going to be the least of your worries in a minute. Listen carefully to what the premier said and how he said it. His voice